Hello, I'm Annalouise, and today I'm going to talk about the topic I identify as. As what? That's the question. There's a lot of talk around about identification at the moment, whether it's with our sexuality or whether it's where we come from or who we are, who we relate to, what we feel we are. And it's a fascinating area, I think. And this topic came up for me this week because a friend left me a voice message and they said, I'm identifying as horizontal today because he was a little bit under the weather. And so he'd spent the day lying down. And so it was his little joke of saying that he was spending most of the day in bed. And it made me laugh, and it also made me think about the whole area of identification. Because it strikes me we are everything. We are all of it. Like even in our brains, our brains incorporate all of our evolution from parts that are more reptilian to parts that are more human. And then within our whole body, every moment we're different, right? Because every moment a cell is being reproduced. So from this moment, we're actually physically different from a few seconds ago. It's incredible. So incredible. And when we identify, we start creating constraints around what we might be and who we might want to be. And my invitation today is to drop into a place of non-identification. What can it be like if we stop identifying? We stop identifying with our gender, we stop identifying with where we've come from, we stop identifying with our level of education, with our habits, with our job. We stop identifying with our status, whether we're single or with a partner or married or divorced or whatever other scenario. We stop identifying with whether we're young or whether we're old. And inviting us into being it all. Being it all. Do you know some human beings that feel like they almost represent all ages for you? I think the Dalai Lama is a really good example. On some levels, he's a more mature man and he has all the wisdom to go with that. And then yet at the same time, he's this playful child in my eyes, often with his beautiful giggle. It's like he embraces all ages. And how wonderful is that? To be it all, to hold all possibility for ourselves, to not be constrained by putting ourselves in a certain identity. And I'm not, of course, saying that we can't receive riches from our heritage or from appreciating the certain ways of being that we have. We can appreciate all of that and hold this big space for ourselves. And what I notice in myself is the less that I identify, the more peaceful I feel. The more I identify, the more rules and expectations and ideas I put into my reality. So it's a good practice, I think, sometimes just to think about what are the ways in which we do identify, because we all identify with things, right? It's just a function of our conditioning. But when we see a 1 year, if we could ask like a little baby if they could speak, like say maybe 7 months old, if they could speak, and we could ask them, what do you identify with? And they'd be like, you know, they wouldn't even think they were a baby, right? they wouldn't even think they were a baby. Yeah, unless they'd been conditioned to think they were a baby. They're just here now. And so all our conditioning has led us to this place of identifying with certain things. So let's take a moment now and perhaps we just close our eyes and think about some of the things that we have identified with. What are some of those layers we've put on top of ourselves? Let's just take, if you can close your eyes. Obviously, if you're driving, you can just enjoy this process while you have your eyes open. Or if you're, doing other things that mean you can't close your eyes. But if you can close your eyes, what are all the layers? And when you're ready, open your eyes, and I'm curious what came up for you. And you can always write it in the comments below, what came up for you, the things that you identified with. And even if you want to take more time, you could pause this video and take some more time to tune in. And I mean, some of the things that was just passing through my consciousness then were things like, oh, it could be perhaps being sporty or not being sporty, or it could be musical or not musical, or it could be good at languages or not good at languages. And these are probably all stories that we've adopted one way or another as we've gone through our life. And yet, how much does that potentially restrict us? I certainly grew up, I think, feeling that languages weren't my thing. And now I've really just allowed that to fall away, and I'm just loving learning languages and dropping the identity of that away. And it's the same for me with music, because I definitely identified with someone that didn't sing and didn't play instruments. And now I can't get enough. And it was the freedom of being able to drop that identity that enabled me to embrace these things that my belief system meant that I wasn't embracing. And so my commitment is just to keep dropping away what I identify with and opening myself to all possibility, all of what we are. Because when I get glimpses of the truth of reality, we are it all. We are the whole universe in our bodies. We contain all of evolution, we contain all of time, all of space. I know that might sound a little bit strange, but it feels like, even if perhaps we can receive in this moment this sense that we contain way more than our little minds think they do, it's opening the doors to hanging on less into our conditioned identity and opening them up more into the world of possibility and freedom and peace, real peace. So I'm going to put us into a little guided meditation to help us drop some of our identification, to help us let that fall away and invite us into greater serenity, openness, and relaxation in the true nature of the mystery of total mystery of what we are. So if you can close your eyes. Allow yourself to open your consciousness. If you notice any thoughts or any identification coming through, opening to the possibility that we are even more than that, and allowing ourselves to rest in the even more. And if there's resistance coming through, opening to that as well. We're even more than the resistance, even the resistance that we identify with. Opening beyond that. And let's imagine we are just a few months old. We don't see ourselves as male or female. We don't see ourselves as intelligent or not intelligent. We don't see ourselves as sporty or not sporty, or musical or not musical. We don't see ourselves as capable or incapable, shy or confident. All of that falls away when we imagine ourselves just a few months young. No sense of being old or young either. Falling away. Just receiving the energies that are present around us. Receiving the sounds without interpretation. Receiving the smells. Receiving the touch. Opening. And if my words trigger any identification into anything, then we can again open up beyond the identification of whatever that's triggered, opening up beyond even that into something more spacious, not needing to understand, not needing to contextualize. Truth is so much bigger than we could ever imagine it to be, and so much simpler. And noticing as we drop away the layers of identification, what happens in our systems, what might relax, what might open, what might rest. Just into the simplicity of being. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Yeah, I'm curious about your experience. Do please write below your comments about your experience, how that was for you. Be really interested to hear. And I invite us all to just notice when we're identifying, whatever that might be with, whether we're sociable or not sociable, whether we're introvert, whether we're tired, whether we're hungry, whether we're not hungry. There's just so many things we can identify with, right? We can just notice and go, can I open even more? And all is good, one way or the other, all is good. If you like this, please do share it with others you might feel might benefit. Anyone that comes to your mind, please trust that impulse. I trust that impulse with me. When someone comes to mind, I think, oh yeah, maybe for whatever reason, they might appreciate seeing this right now. So do share it, do subscribe, and do press like if you have done. And if you want to know more about me and subscribe to my newsletter, please go to www.resonating.love. Wishing you great freedom, great opening, great sense of possibility, and a letting go of that which doesn't serve us, that holds us tight rather than lets us free. A happy day to you.